Hello and welcome everybody to today's Collaboard training. It's a pleasure that you're here today, and we are starting right away because we have a lot of things which we are going to check together today. It won't be a standard training where I just show some feature. We do everything based into a storyline. So we look at some real use cases, and while going through these use cases, you will learn more about how to work with Collaboard and understand some features. So we will start away. And the first thing that happened is we got an email from the CEO. The CEO is writing, Teams, the rumors are as of 8:00 this morning, R&D has successfully stabilized the CROG quantum drive. We have cracked the code and we have overcome gravity. This isn't a toy. This is the transportation revolution we have been dreaming of since 1989. We are going to build the world's first mass market hoverboard, no wheels, no friction, pure flight, as you have seen in Back to the Future 2. We're moving to immediate execution. I need this task force here today to map out and launch the strategy within the next 60 minutes. Security warning. This technology is proprietary. Do not export data to unsecured servers. Keep all the documentation strictly within the secure Collaboard environment. Let's make history. Where we are going, we don't need any roads. So this is the email from the CEO I got this morning. And I just made a screenshot and copy pasted it to Collaboard. So the first thing we can do is we might highlight what's important. And you will find here on the upper right the drawing tools in Collaboard. So let's get here the highlighter. And we see, okay, here's the security warning. So we should not export or put any data, or we should not export these kind of data. Now, everybody who is joining our board should know, okay, it's about a confidential board. So the first thing we are going to do is we are changing the name of the board. So we say Project Hoverboard, and we say security warning. So everybody is aware that the things we are doing today on that board, they are top secret. And as this board will become quite big, so we're doing a lot of activities together to work on this new product and plan the launch together, we need to also link somehow always back to this initial email from the CEO. And I will show you now how to create a quick link and why it's useful. So I'm clicking now on this image. And what we can do here is we can create a quick link. And I see I did something wrong. I didn't change the language. So Collaboard is still in German. So give me 1 second. So I'm going back here to the overview where I have all my whiteboards, going to my profile and simply switch everything to English. We're going back to the overview. So now you already have seen the dashboard. And now the cool thing is if we reopen the board where we have been before, we are continuing exactly at the same location where we have been. So what we want to do is we want to add this quick link. So we click here on these 3 dots and say add a quick link, email from CEO. And now the cool thing is when we move around the board, zoom away, do some activities, we can always click here on this compass icon and jump back to this first initial email so we know what the purpose of the things are that we want to do on that board today. So this is the storyline. We're going to build a hoverboard. No, let's say the hoverboard has already been built. So now let's think about what can we do on the whiteboard itself. So before we start, I just want to give you the basics about the board. So moving around left to right, up and down, this is something you usually do with the mouse. So most important is you can do it with the right click, and you see when I do a right click, my mouse pointer turns into this hand, and now I can move around the board without selecting any object. If I want to select an object on the board, for example, this mouse to move it around, I do it with left click. And in case I want to select many elements on the board, I use Shift, and now I can select here many elements. Of course, I'm a mouse and a keyboard user. In case you are a fan of a touchpad, then there is also a touchpad mode in Collaboard, which you can activate easily. And I'm just showing you right now how this is done. So you can click here on these 3 dots, go to settings, and then you can enable here the touchpad mode so that you can interact with the most known and common gestures usually that usually work on the touchpad, basically. So first important thing, how to move on the board. Second important thing is how to invite others. As when we're planning now this product launch, we need to do it with others, right? So I don't want to go into too much details, but just showing you how you can create a sharing link, how you can secure your sharing link as we are on a sensitive board, and how to manage the existing links. So to invite another user to Collaboard, just click here on the upper right on this sharing option. And now you can invite other users. You can define which permissions they shall have. For example, registered user, they could view, edit, or being a facilitator on the board, or a guest user, for example, can only view or edit the content. If I want to secure the access, I say, okay, the link is only valid for 1 hour. And I'm putting here a long and complex password. So we have a second factor to basically protect our board. Then I click on creating the invitation link. Then most of the time I'm sharing here a link with the others in the chat or in the email invitation, or I can also invite people by email. So these are usually the very simple ways how to onboard other persons. And you see it's just a few clicks. In case you created now a link for guest users that never expires, you should never do that on a board which is top secret. Then in this case, you can always go here and manage the sharing links you have created and delete them or copy them or do some other things. So this is just to let you know how to invite others to Collaboard. Now, last but not least, zooming. So the online whiteboard Collaboard provides you with an infinite canvas. So there are literally no borders left or right or up and down. So you can zoom in up to 400%. So now you see here on the bottom right, okay, we are at 400%. So we see everything very detailed. Or we can zoom out, and let me zoom out a little bit just to see what we have done so far. And now you see I'm at 10%. So this zoom level always indicates how close I'm to the content or how far away I'm from the content. And a very important rule when working with Collaboard is don't go to 10%, add a sticky note and make it big. It will not work if you create a big board like we are going to have today. So the recommendation, do it around 60 to 80%. So you see now I'm at 80%, perfect level to add a new sticky note or interact with the content I have on the board. It's basically like the speed limit on the highway. Just try to respect that and it will make things much easier. Last but not least, when looking at this infinite board, so you might not know where you are on the board or where the content is. So in this case, you have the option to display here a minimap. And then on the minimap, you see where you are. You can move around the minimap. And in this case here, we see all these gray areas. And the gray areas indicate there is some content. So it also allows you to move around the whiteboard in a very fast way. So these are the basic ways how to interact with the whiteboard canvas itself. And now let's jump back to our story. As we are marketing here the new hoverboard, we need to think about who is it for. Is it, for example, for extreme sports skaters the ones who like high risk and high adrenaline? Or is it more for the daily commuters who are looking for a new way and not using the bicycle or the car or the subway? So what we need to do first is we want to create a user persona for this new product we are launching. And in this activity, you will learn how to add the persona template. So I will show you the templates available in Collaboard. I will show you how to create a frame around the template, and we will check together how to work with the, let's say, most used object in Collaboard, the sticky notes. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel for creating a persona. So what we're doing here is we're clicking on the left side on the icon to access the templates. And now we just search for persona. There is exactly one persona template, and we are adding it to the board. So we see now here the persona template. It's super easy to add a template. We can move it around if you want to do that. Remember, you can always press Shift and use the left mouse key, and then you can move it around in case you would like to do that. Now, this template is designed in a way that we can add here now a picture, maybe of this daily standard commuter. We can add the name, the age, and so on. But what I want to show you now is how to work with the sticky notes. So in this template, the sticky notes are already there. So we could click on the sticky note and immediately start writing on it. The goal with the hoverboard is maybe to travel faster, right? And when we click on the sticky note, you see here this specific toolbar. And you will see now when we go through the session today, through all the features, Collaboard works always the same. You click on an object and you get this toolbar, and this toolbar is maybe a little bit different depending on the objects we are selecting, as we can't just work with sticky notes or images, videos, and so on. But this is something we will check in a later stage. Now, regarding the sticky note, what we can do is we can always change the color. So in case you would like to adjust this, we have the option to choose different font styles. We can change the text color and have here basic text editing options directly on the sticky note, dependent on how we want to use that. There are a few things that are special for the sticky note. So let me zoom out a little bit and let's go here and add a new sticky note. So we can either add a square or a rectangle. I personally really like the rectangle sticky note because it allows me to add a little bit more text. And I could add 1, 5, or 10 at once. Depends a little bit on how I want to do that. Now it's very big. This is because I added a very big sticky note before, if you remember when I showed you how not to do it. So let's now add a little bit of a smaller sticky note. And in case I need now a second one and a third one, there are a few options. I can either click here and click on duplicate, so I get a new sticky note. Or what's also quite cool, I can use the tab key on my keyboard, and you see sticky notes are added in a very fast and nice way directly here as well. So these are a few options how to add sticky notes to Collaboard. And in the end, working with the sticky notes is really super easy. Just click on that, start writing. And these are the most important things that you need to know so far. Now, in case I don't always want to select here the whole template to move it around, we have another option that makes it much easier. So we can add this to a frame. And the frame, imagine it somehow as a box where we put now all this content in, and then we can just move the frame around, and we don't need to care about selecting all these single elements when we want to move the whole template on the board. To do this, we just click here on these 3 dots, say create frame. And now you see we also have this nice white background, which indicates, okay, this is a single activity on the whiteboard. And now I can move this frame easily around the board. So we're starting to create our user persona to whom we want to sell our hoverboard. And the next thing we are doing to define a little bit better this person, we are creating an empathy map. The empathy map helps us to define a little bit more the person. So we think about what do they think and feel, what do they say and do, what do they hear, and so on. And what we will learn here while looking at this empathy map is how to lock elements. This is super important. How to create groups, how to add style to text using the color picker, and then how to save this as a personal template so I can use it on any other whiteboard I'm creating. And this is really a very big benefit because all the structures and everything you create on Collaboard, you can save it as your own template and then use it on any other board and even share it with others in your organization. So if you create something cool, don't hesitate to share it, as sharing is caring. Now, let's have a look at this empathy map. We already put it in a frame. So you see, okay, we can easily move around. But we didn't lock anything. So imagine now all the users here on the same board. So everybody could maybe by accident select this image and move it around, and the empathy map is already somehow not destroyed, but you need to order it again. So to prevent users accidentally moving things on the canvas, you can always click on the object, and then here there is the option to lock it. And you see now why I have selected a locking. We will see also that there is a keyboard shortcut, Control L. And this is important when you are creating boards and when you want to become fast. Learn this keyboard shortcut because it will make things much easier. So in this case, we're locking here now the image. We would also start locking here this text and the ear and this text and so on. So in the end, I really would recommend to lock everything. Users should not move around. In our case, we want to change the style of a text because we see here, think and feel, see, say and do. It's in a different color and also bold. So we would like to do the same here with here. So we just select here, and now we change it to bold. And now we want to have exactly the same color like on the other texts. So in Collaboard, you can select from these 20 default colors. This is one thing, but there is also a very nice color picker that allows you to pick the color from any other element on the board. So let's do it now here. So we easily style these text. And that's just a visual thing, but it usually helps the people to understand better what the activity you have planned on the whiteboard is about. Last but not least, in case you would like to move these two things together, we can always multi-select, but as we don't want now to create a frame in a frame or something like that, in this case, we can also always group elements together. So we have here now the group, so we can move these things together if you want to do that. And let's think now about what these people who might buy the hoverboard would think about. So maybe it's fear of being hit by a car, it's frustration with slow commutes, it's maybe embarrassment of arriving sweaty when you need to go with the bike. Or we have here, what do they see? They see a crowded subway, trains, they have no personal space. Or what do they say and do? So they say they are people who spend money on the latest tech gadgets. Perfect. These are our early adopters. Or they want to go to work without sweating. And now you see, while I'm moving around here, I'm always using the right mouse key, so I can move around without any hassles and selecting content. So this is about defining the user persona. Now let's move a little bit on, and we are creating a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis, it's one of a very standard use case for an online whiteboard. And the cool thing is you can always make it bigger and smaller, so you'll never run out of space while creating your SWOT analysis. The things we will cover here are hiding and unhiding content, then changing the style of multiple objects at once. We will see why this is useful. And then also how to add text to shapes. Imagine now doing this kickoff session and one person of your team never worked with an online whiteboard. So this person is coming to the whiteboard and there's all this activity that's maybe too much. So to make things easier for the people, you always have the option to, for example, select here the SWOT analysis and then to hide it. This means as I'm logged in now here as the facilitator and the owner of the board, I still see where the content is, while for all the other attendees, it's just a blank space on the whiteboard. And as soon as the group is ready to start with the SWOT analysis, I just select everything again, unhide it, and it magically appears on the whiteboard for everybody. Now, we did already the analysis about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And yeah, so one of our strengths is we have the only working anti-gravity tech, and we have a high precision manufacturing and safety standards. But we see one thing that somehow disturbs me now. This is because all the sticky notes have the same color, except in the quadrant with the strength. So what I can do now here is I can just select all the sticky notes, and as they have some shared properties like colors, text, and so on, I can apply now the same style to all the objects I have selected. So what I can do here is I'm just changing the color to all the sticky notes to yellow and so on. So also something simple, but in the end, very useful, that helps you to style things easier on the online whiteboard. So we did this SWOT analysis. We thought about the strengths and the weaknesses. Now let's talk a little bit about marketing. And what we're doing in marketing is we're creating a mood board for our hoverboard. And in this activity, you will learn the following things. So first of all, we will check together how to work with images. As you can crop images, you can flip, you can add transparency. We will check how to upload videos and take screenshots from the videos directly from the board. I will show you how to work with the levels, because you can put content above other content and so on. We will check how to add a YouTube video, how to use comments and mention users, because maybe not everybody is working at the same time on the whiteboard. So you need a way to communicate asynchronously, and the comments are the perfect way to do that. And then last but not least, I will show you how to add emojis. I already created here this mood board, and I think it looks nice, but we have here one image that somehow doesn't fit, because we have here a car looking foot, or shoe, so this doesn't make any sense at all. What we would like to keep this guy on this hoverboard. So what we're doing here is we are clicking on crop, and we just crop the image, and we just selected what we want to have on the board. Now we see a difference. All the other images, they have somehow this white border, while this one doesn't have it. So let me show you how to add these white borders. And in the end, it's super simple. I'm just adding a shape. So I'm adding here a shape around this image. Maybe make the image a little bit bigger. Okay. And now I'm giving this shape a fill color. So every shape has a fill color and the border color. Now in my case, I would like to have it white. And as we don't have white here as a standard default color, I click here, and then I'm just selecting white. For the border, we don't need the border, so we just put it as transparent. And now we see this shape lies above the image because I added the shape after the image, logically, right? So what we can do now is we can put the shape behind the image. So we just send it backward. Now we select everything again. I'm grouping it, and we can move it back here to our mood board. So in the back, you see here this cork board, which is locked, and I also put it completely to the back of the board. So every new object we're adding is automatically on top of this mood board. In case this image now here, for example, is a little bit too heavy, I can always select an image and I can edit the opacity. So I can make it a little bit more transparent. So it depends a little bit what you do, but this is usually very useful because when you style things on the whiteboard, you can adjust the opacity of an image in a very easy way. Let's look a little bit closer at the mood board. So we also see here these pins. And let me show you how I added them. So we don't have a pin here in the original shapes of Collaboard, but there's a very nice way how to get a lot of more different kind of shapes. So it's just by adding a text. And now I have a Windows computer. So if you click the Windows key on your keyboard and the dot, the thing you usually put at the end of a sentence, then you open here the emoji toolbar from Microsoft. You just select this and now make it a little bit smaller. Let's rotate it. And we pinned this image as well directly to our mood board. So we have seen how to crop an image, how to add transparency, how to put things forward and backward on the canvas. But Collaboard doesn't need just to live with static images. We can also add moving images, videos. So our marketing team created here a video of a guy riding the hoverboard. Cool. So this is maybe something we can use. So we can add and play videos directly on the whiteboard. And you can always open your Explorer and just drag and drop them. Or you can as well go here and then add the medias. For example, click here on audio and video. You can upload, or you can also directly record a video and add it to Collaboard. And there is also the option to add a YouTube video. So let's think about, the first influencers started to doing some campaigns. Maybe they have videos on YouTube. So in this case, we also have the option as well to add then a YouTube video directly to the canvas as well. So this is a very nice way to make things more interactive. In this case, you can make it a little bit bigger and then play the YouTube video directly on the board. Last but not least, when we're playing this video, we can always stop it and take a screenshot out of a single frame. So imagine the marketing team made now this video, and now they see, okay, this guy here, we would like to remove him because he doesn't fit in the video. Then you can really easily do this screenshot, annotate the image and say, okay, let's cross him out in this case. And then the post-production can take care about that. Yeah, this is some ideas on how to work in a multimedia style with Collaboard, using these images, using the emojis and the videos. So we thought about the mood board for our campaign. And now we need to find a name for our product because we can't launch a breakthrough technology without a good name, right? And I will show you here how to use the mind map tool to brainstorm, then how to use the timer, and we will also check together the voting and how this works. So I'm already created here a mind map. So just to give you an idea, okay, we are brainstorming about the new name for the hoverboard. We have here some futuristic names like Zero-G, the Flux, Arrow, or here we have some retro names like the McFly, Autotime, Neon Glider, or whatever. And yeah, this is how you can collaboratively create a mind map with others. Doing that is super easy because you can just click here in the left toolbar on the mind map icon, add the mind map. Let's maybe make the text a little bit bigger. And now using here these notes, everybody who is on the same whiteboard can easily start adding directly notes, and we can brainstorm together. The mind map module in Collaboard is very powerful because you can define a lot of things. For example, you can change the style of the notes, you can change the orientation and so on. It would blow the time and the video we have today. So in case you're interested in the mind map feature of Collaboard, there's another video on YouTube that explains this in more detail. But I just wanted to give you an idea that you can use here the mind map tool to brainstorm on the whiteboard. Of course, brainstorming can always be done as well with sticky notes. Let's assume now the whole team is thinking about the new name for our hoverboard. In this case, we don't want them to brainstorm for 1 hour. Time pressure usually in brainstorming session helps, because then you don't think about, is this a good idea or not? You just write down the idea, the next idea, and so on. And this is one of the core concepts of brainstorming. And for this purpose, you can always click here on the bottom left on the timer, start the time. And now, for example, we have the brainstorming session timed to 5 minutes. In case I see after 1 minute everybody is almost ready, I can always use here the minus and the plus to basically adjust the time and increase or reduce the time in the timer easily. I can stop it, pause it, or I can stop it. Yeah. Imagine now we have here a lot of different ideas on the board. So what we would like to do next is to figure out which idea is the best. And discussing this now online with all the people, we might never reach to a conclusion. Therefore, we can use the voting option in Collaboard. So let's start here the voting session. We just click on this thumb up icon. And now we say our product name. In this case, we use the star voting, so it's a little bit easier. We don't need to think about how many votes to assign to all the people. I'm selecting everybody else who's on the board. And now we can easily click here on these single objects, give them our stars. And as I'm the facilitator, I'm also seeing directly the result. All the attendees in your workshop, they won't see these results. So in this case, they will just do their rating. And then when everybody is done, you can click here again on stopping the voting session. And we can go here to our archive. So this will be accessible also after the voting and in your next session. So you can always go back and see how the people voted or rated the ideas, the product names, or whatever on the whiteboard. And then you can check here the results, and we see, okay, the flux has won. Maybe it's not relevant here, which is position 2, 3, and so on. So we can just say, okay, let's add the top result, the one who has won, to the whiteboard. Otherwise, I can also always select all, and then all the results will be added. In our case, now let's just add this one. And we say, okay, the team decided the flux for our new hoverboard product. So this is a way how to brainstorm, how to use the timer, and then how to do a voting directly on the whiteboard to get feedback in a very fast way, which is otherwise almost impossible when you have a big group online meeting together. So we did the marketing part. Now we are more closer to the product launch. So the next thing we want to do is we want to work on the roadmap, because every project needs to have a good plan. And doing this roadmap, you will learn more about the lines in Collaboard. You will learn that you can use Shift to create straight lines on the board. We will look at the different line styles, as this is super useful. We will check the line endpoints. We see what's the difference between a connector and a line. And then we will also do some grouping activities. So for example, how to group line and text together. So to go to our roadmap, we follow now this path here on the whiteboard. And imagine you have this infinite canvas, these kind of visualizations, allowing the user to see, now I need to go here, or this somehow belongs together. This is very useful. And this is something you can't achieve in a PowerPoint or a Word, having this really nice visual connection between content. So this is one of the, let's say, things I really love about working with an online whiteboard. So let's start creating our roadmap. And we will do this live together. So we're going to add a line. So we're clicking here, Shift to create a straight line. And we want to make the line a little bit bigger. And as it goes from left to right, let's also add an arrow to the right. So we already have a timeline for our roadmap. Now we want to plan what's happening in January, February, and March. And to visualize this, we use the line again. But now in this case, we do a horizontal line. Let's make it a little bit bigger again. And we said, okay, these are the activities we're doing in January. So we are adding a text. And now we create a group. Creating a group can either be done here, or you can also press Ctrl G. And now we have a group. Okay, let's add here January. Now let's copy that. Okay, put it here. And another one, put it here. And now the cool thing is, if you want to edit content in a group, you don't need to ungroup. You just click 2 or 3 times. Now February, okay, make it a little bit bigger. And here we say March. Now I was doing this a little bit fast, so we don't, although February has less days than January or March, it shouldn't be here like this. So we want that everything is on the same level and has the same distance. So in this case, I'm pressing now Shift and using my mouse to select just these 3 elements. And to put everything on the same level, I use the Align feature in Collaboard. So let's say everything should be vertically top aligned, okay? And we want to distribute it horizontally. And now the distance here is exactly the same as well. So we could start adding here now sticky notes and outline our roadmap. We don't do this now because it would take too much time. And I just show you how it could look like because I already prepared this. And it's behind this shape with a white filling. So I'm just deleting it. And here you see how a roadmap could look like. And the things filled out relate with our new product. So what's important when we think about now how to sell our hoverboard, we have a few things in the roadmap that belong together. So for example, we need to negotiate exclusivity with skate shops. And then we need to train the retail stuff, right? So for example, with a VR simulator. And we can't do that in case this isn't already fulfilled. So what we did here is we started connecting these elements together. And when you select a sticky note, a shape, an image, or whatever, you always see here these 4 circles. And from here, you can drag a connection. And now we connected these elements together. Let's make the line a little bit more thicker. And now we could also change here the line and so on, and they are now stacked. So in case this is going to move from our roadmap to another month or something like that, we always have this connection sticked here. And in case one thing depends on the other in a different relation, we can use here also the start and end points. And the connection can either be like this, curved, but we can also do it like this. For example, we have very high flexibility of adjusting these things. So you can't just use this connector now to connect to object. It's heavily used to create network diagrams, architectures. It can be used to visualize a workflow and so on. But this was just my idea here of presenting you the idea of creating the roadmap for our product launch and show you how to work with the lines and the connectors. By the way, these shapes you see here, so this is a shape in the background. This is a shape with the opacity of 30%. I could always change that, of course, but this is just another very nice example that opacity on the whiteboard allows you to style things you have on the board itself. So we planned, or let's say we visualized our roadmap. The next thing we want to do is we need to start with the execution. And we work now here with some Kanban boards and tasks. You will learn here how to add tables to the whiteboard, how to create tags, how to convert objects to other type of objects. I will show you how to add and work with the task object in Collaboard. We will see what we can do when we already have things in Excel and how to bring it to the whiteboard. And we will check together how to search content on the board itself. So when we think about a Kanban board, we always imagine these three swim lanes in a vertical way. So what we do here is we could build this with the shapes or whatever, but the easiest way is to do it with a table. And in our case, we just need a table 3x2. Add here this table, and now we do the very simple Kanban board. So we say here to do, doing, and done. So these are the headers. We can also make everything a little bit bigger or bold. And now all the tasks we're going to add, they're going to be here below. So we need to make this bigger. Maybe we make it everything a little bit bigger. So you see, you can very flexibly adjust this table. Now, what do we need to do? Luckily, in our case, someone already has written some tasks in an Excel. So you won't see this now because I'm just sharing my browser. But believe me, I'm going to Excel. I'm just copying some cells by Control-C, going back to Collaboard and pressing Control-V. And now Collaboard asks me how to paste this kind of data. I can add it as a table, but we already created a table. So in this case, I want to add these tasks as sticky notes. And okay, we already have here a lot of different tasks for our hoverboard. And now what we could do is, okay, stress test the battery cooling system. We could just move here this task into our Kanban board. Let's add the next one as well. And you see when I'm adding it to the table, everything gets a little bit blue. So this indicates that this sticky note is now part of this column. And when I move the table around, the sticky note goes along. So that's one thing. We could use now color coding for tasks that are already done, for important tasks, and so on. But I would like to show you another way how to do that. We could, for example, add a tag. Tag, this is high prio. And let's use red. Okay, so we add a tag, this is high prio, and then say, okay, this is low prio. So we add another tag, low prio. Now the cool thing is, as soon as I added these tags, Collaboard remembers them, and I can click on every element and add the tags we already created. This can't just be used for priorities or whatever. So there are a lot of ways how to do that. This is the most simple way to do a Kanban board, and maybe how you know or how you did it also in the real world. But if we think now really about task management and launching or doing a product launch of a hoverboard, here maybe just writing the tasks into sticky notes isn't fulfilling the full need. So let's have a look at the task object of Collaboard. We already added here all these sticky notes. So let's select all of them and let's create tasks out of them. So in this case, we go here to switch the type of the object. So we could transform these sticky notes, for example, now in text or shapes. But in our case, we are creating tasks out of them. Okay, so now let's have a look at the task object. So it looks a little bit different. So first of all, it's similar to the sticky notes. We just have the title. But the cool thing is now we can click here and we open a menu. So for the task, we can do a status as well. We can say it's in progress. We can assign it to someone. So let's say in this case, you would like to assign it to Michael. Let's do it. Assigning it to him. It's a task that needs to start today and it should be ended tomorrow. And then we can add here even more content as a description of this task as well. So in this case, you see now after adding all this information, we see, oh, okay, this task got some more information. And this allows me now to track much better than just having the sticky note because, oh, okay, it's assigned to Michael. And if we assign it to Michael, then he already also gets an email, hey, this task has been assigned to you. And this is something we could do for all the other tasks. Assigning tasks to a user, you don't need to always open it. You can also just click here, say, okay, let's assign it to Alice. Let's put here the start and the end date. Let's reuse the tags which we created, high priority task, and so on. So this is just this is what I wanted to show you here, that Collaboard isn't just a simple whiteboard for doing a little bit brainstorming. So you can really start from the idea of creating this product launch to brainstorming together, to developing a concept, developing the mood board, to really plan the project here. It will not replace the complex project management system, but for several smaller projects, it's very useful and handy to do it on the online whiteboard because you have things much more visual. And in case these tasks depend on each other, we can also use the lines to connect here everything and say, okay, these tasks belong together. And then in the end, we can do the same. We can put them to our Kanban board. And in case we want to use a visual status and not only the status object on the task itself. Yeah, cool. So let's check. We added tables, we created tags, we converted sticky notes into tasks. If you want to add a task, we can also just do it here from the toolbar. We imported sticky notes from Excel. And now, last but not least, let's have a look at the search, because maybe, and let's zoom out a little bit, we already have here a very big board. We want just to find the high prior things. So we can search here for high prior and jump directly to all the content on the board that is flagged with high prior. The search works for all the text you have on the whiteboard, either it's in the sticky note, in a text object, text in the shape, or whatever. In the end, that's very useful because it allows you to find the content in a very fast way. Yeah, we planned our project and the product launch. Now let's jump back to the email of the CEO, go to the quick link. Okay, so you have 60 minutes, so we have only 10 minutes left. What do we need to do? We might need to create the presentation for the CEO. So the last thing we are checking together today is how to create now the presentation. I will show you again how to create more quick links. Then we have a look at the presentation mode, the focus mode, and also the export options. Although this is a top secret board, we might need someone to export some parts of the board, and this is why I will show you how it works. So let's think about our presentation. What do we want to present? We want to present the persona which we created. Okay, here we have the frame. Let's create a quick link and say here, persona. Then we have the empathy map. Let's click here on the frame again, say add a quick link and say empathy map, okay? And now so on. So let's just do it for the mood board. So we have something a little bit more funny. We could now select just this image and create a quick link. So we don't need to have a frame. A quick link can basically be created for every object on the board. And in this case, we click here and say mood board. In an ideal world, we will do this now for all the content we have created today. And let's imagine we have done that and we're starting the presentation. Now, the cool thing is with Collaboard, you don't need to share your screen anymore. You just invite everybody to the whiteboard, and then you have here the option to start the presentation mode. And when I'm doing this, everybody is following me here on the board. So in our case, we might not want that the user interface and everything is shown. So in this case, we can also activate a focus mode. So we can really focus here on the content. And I'm sure you all have done presentations with PowerPoint, using the clicker or going back to the laptop because you forgot your clicker or the clicker has no battery, and then using the keyboard, right? So in Collaboard here, we have a very similar thing. And this is so important that we created the quick links before, because in the end now, when we're doing this presentation, the quick links are like slides. So we can just click here. Okay, we're jumping to the persona. We're jumping to the empathy map. We're jumping to the mood board. And because the last quick link or the first quick link was the email from the CEO, we're going back to the email from the CEO. So this is a very nice way how to create this presentation. But let's say the order of what we have done isn't logical. So in this case, I can always open here the quick links and I can move them around because maybe we want first now that everybody can look at the mood board. So in this case, we can shift here also the order. And then when we start the presentation mode again, we go through the order which we define here. And this in the end is very similar to the concept of the slides in PowerPoint. You can easily adjust that either by drag and dropping things here or by using here these arrow keys in case you don't have a mouse and use Collaboard on a tablet or on a touch screen or something like this. Last but not least, export. So let's say we just want to share the empathy map, because actually this isn't really secret, right? With our marketing agency. So in this case, we can now just click here on this empathy map, go here to export selection. And now Collaboard offers us a few ways to export content. We can create an image. This could be PNG, JPEG, SVG, or whatever. I can also define if the image should have the highest quality or a little bit lower quality. Higher quality also comes with bigger file size, of course. And I can export a PDF if I want to do that. In case I would like now to print out this empathy map and put it in our office to the wall, I, for example, could divide everything into 4 pages on the PDF. And then after printing it, I could mount it together. Or if I have a very big plotter, then in case, of course, then I don't need it like this. So this is the way how you can export content. Last but not least, let's think about what we did with the Excel. So with the Excel, we added here all these tasks. And let's just convert them back to sticky notes. So what we can do as well is we can bring this content out of Collaboard again. So if we export this selection, we could do an image, a PDF, or we can also export it as text. And if we export it as text, then we get a CSV file with all that content. And in case we started doing everything in Collaboard, and then we see now, okay, now it needs to go into, let's say, the corporate project management system like Jira or whatever, then I can re-import this in Jira, and I don't have a lot of frictions of getting the data out of Collaboard. And in case you want to link Collaboard with Jira, you can also use the Jira integration, which is quite new and which we released a few weeks ago. Yeah, cool. So this is our story of today, creating the hoverboard. So I hope everybody who is also a fan of Back to the Future enjoyed the short story and that it was useful for you learning the features of Collaboard in that way. And yeah, then it's time to say thank you for your time today. And I wish everybody happy collaborating.